our dear viewers, and welcome to new edition of our program Africa Today. Today we are dedicating this edition of our program to the current visit by Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi to Egypt. To shed more light on this very important visit, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon. How are you?
How are you, sir? Ambassador Bayoumi, how do you see the significance and the timing of the current visit by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Cairo?
It is a traditional and very old friendship between Egypt and the Egyptian people with the Indian people.
Yes.
Especially on top since Saad Basha Zaghlul and El Nahas.
Yes.
And their relations with Mahatma Gandhi, because we were fighting the same enemy. United Kingdom was occupying the both two countries.
Yeah.
And of course, in order to go to India, they have to cross the Suez Canal. That's why the canal was very important for England in order to keep controlling its wealth in India and the Far East.
Yeah.
Then, during the time of Nehru and Gamal Abdel Nasser, it was another decade of very close friendship. Nehru, Nasser, Tito of Yugoslavia, Sukarno of Indonesia, and other eminent leaders, they established the non-aligned movement and the group of developing countries, which is now 139 countries, very important, and we are coordinating all our steps and policies with all those friends.
Yes.
During the time of the 60s, we concluded what we call the tripartite agreement. It was a trade agreement to liberalize the trade between Egypt, Yugoslavia, and India, and it continued. And because of this free trade agreement, our trade relation with India was increased and doubled even, and now it is around something like more than $7 billion, which is a sort of very good result. But we are aiming at increasing this, widening the source of relations, and coming to new areas of investment, new areas of cooperation.
Yes.
So it is a continuous process between two very friendly countries.
Indeed. Also, meetings with the Indian Prime Minister witnessed agreements on keenness to strengthen ties between both countries. Mr. Ambassador, how would you describe the importance of the agreements and the fields of cooperation that were tackled today, like production of medicine, pharmaceuticals, as well as many other fields? What's your take on that?
We are exploring all the possibilities in order to deepen the relation, to make it much more concentrated on new areas. Also, don't forget the information technology, because India is very developed in this area, and in the valley of Bangalore they have a center of smart industries. It's well known, and they export information technology by billions of dollars all over the world. And this is another field where we are seeking cooperation. In the field of car industry also, we are going to cooperate. Many steps are taken now in order to make this relation even deeper, even wider, visiting new areas of investment and production.
Indeed, Mr. Ambassador, if you allow me, we'll be listening to this report about the visit by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who arrived in Egypt on Saturday, heading a delegation of ministers and high-ranking officials. The talks, which resumed on Sunday, focus on bilateral ties and India's chairmanship of the G20 group, and then we'll be back to resume our interview with Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi.
Okay.
He was in Cairo on Sunday. He was resuming a visit that started on Saturday. El-Sisi received Modi, who was on a two-day visit to Cairo, upon an invitation. Officials said the visit comes in light of an unprecedented leap between Cairo and New Delhi in relations in all fields. They both discussed bilateral ties. The visit is the first by Modi since he assumed his post in India in 2014. Earlier, Modi was received by Madbouli and official talks were held, and a roundtable meeting also to discuss means of enhancing bilateral ties. Madbouli expressed Cairo's keenness to promote strategic relations with India and exchange strategic commodities and discuss wheat deliveries. Madbouli asserted interest to strengthen cooperation with India in fields of higher education, medical care and production for medicines. For his part, Modi confirmed that his country has deep-rooted historic relations with Cairo, expressing hopes to reach a new level in the bilateral relations.
Thank you for waiting, Mr. Ambassador, and continuing here our interview. Actually, CAPMAS figures showed that Egypt-India trade exchange increased by almost 13.7% to reach $6 billion in the year 2022. How read these numbers?
It is normal, especially with our energetic policies towards the whole world, and especially the special friends.
Yes.
We are enlarging our relations with all our best friends of Egypt. We are proud that we have now very active diplomacy going everywhere.
Indeed.
I am trying to follow our president, of course, going to the far east in Tokyo, to the far west in Paris, going to the north, going to the south in Africa, covering the activities with African countries,
Yes.
defending Africa in this summit in Paris also, receiving our main trade partner from India, from China. Yes, it is a continuous process.
Yes.
From Egypt. I am proud to say that Egypt now has the most crowded capital of the world of embassies and foreign missions. This shows us that we have very close and good relations with all our partners, that we are proud that our president can raise the phone and talk to any leader in the whole world, trying to be a good arbitrator in problems like what is happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the environment, what's happening concerning the corona epidemic, what is happening in the African energetic policies, and so on. So I think India will not be far from this. On the contrary, it will be in the far front, of our main interests all over the world.
Yes. Sir, actually, over 50 Indian companies are operating in Egypt with total investments of $3.15 billion. What fields are most attractive to the Indian investments in Egypt, and why, from your point of view, Mr. Ambassador?
This is also one side of this policy.
Yes.
Because it is, of course, on the official level, we have the two top leaders. They talk, then the ministerial level. But around this, there is the presence of the businessman community.
Yes.
So they are much having knowledge of what they do, what they can do, and about the future in many new industries. And they can immediately, during those meetings, tell you or tell us what are new areas where we can enlarge our efforts and to attract more and more direct investment.
Indeed.
Also, we are here marketing for the area of Suez Canal. We are attracting China, Japan, and India in order to come and invest in the Suez Canal zone, to be very near to their main markets in Europe and in the Americas. because now it is well known that many countries are selling their merchandise in a very near areas to their market.
Yes.
I give an example that we are buying the Brazilian sugar from Beirut. We are buying Brazilian coffee also from Beirut. Same thing about Cuban sugar. So the new fashion of making business is to bring your merchandise very near to the market where you are selling it in order to save time and to save money, of course.
Yes. Also, sir, Cairo expressed its trust in India's chairmanship of the G20 group. What's your take on that?
This is very good because the group of 20, it is almost 2/3 of the whole international trade.
Yes.
And even the international income. And as you well know, they are the richest 20 economies.
Yes.
And Egypt is not far from this. We were touching the doors there. That's why we are invited several times to be present in these meetings.
Yep.
This is not the first time at all, but this shows us the importance of our country to many other friends and to many other economies.
Mr. Ambassador, what actually common challenges face both Cairo and New Delhi, and how to overcome these challenges from your point of view?
Yes, we are fighting on two fronts. First, how we can attract a foreign direct investor to come and invest in our country. Same time, we have to make ourselves much more marketable. We want to sell our merchandise, which is investment. We want to prove to our guest or as investor that we can make him make good results, good revenues, much more than any other places. And when you ask serious investors coming from Europe or Asia or whatever, they will tell you the same challenge, that bureaucracy is making investment very slow. Banking system must be ameliorated. All of us, we know that you go to the bank, you spend 2-3 hours there. If you are in New York in 2-3 or 6 hours, you can make profits, not to wait for drawing a check. Transport needs to make more improvements. Or our ports needs to be improved. That's why our president was opening some enlargement of the Alexandria port a couple of days ago. Damietta now is becoming a very important port for Egypt, and so on. Roads, some people are questioning why we are making such big distance of roads. And the president told us, how can you make trade or investment without roads to bring your raw material and in order to export your merchandise? That's why this is the infrastructure. This is a real challenge. We want to visit it always and to make it better.
Indeed. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, always a pleasure to listen to your very precious input, sir. Thank you very much, and a happy feast in advance. And our dear viewers will now go to a short break, and after that we'll be back, so stay tuned.